We often discuss about heat and temperature in our daily life. But do you know that there is a difference between these two? The difference between heat and temperature is slightly confusing. That's because these two are closely related. We say if we heat a substance, its temperature goes up and it reduces when mean. Let's try to find out the difference between these two in this session. Heat always deals with thermal energy. Thermal energy is nothing but the total microscopic kinetic and potential energy of a system. When we say microscopic, we often are referring to the atoms and molecules that make up the system. The term heat always describes the transfer of thermal energy between molecules within a system. We measure this in joules. We see that within a system there is always a movement or flow of the energy, and when we measure heat, we are actually measuring this energy movement. Any object can gain heat or lose heat. So, a measure of change of heat is never a property that is possessed by a system. We see that heat is dependent on the particle size. It also is dependent on the speed of particles within the system, and it also is dependent on the number of particles. So this is an example for process variable. We measure heat by a calorimeter. Temperature, on the other hand, describes the average kinetic energy of the molecules within a system. This does not depend on the size of the particles or the number of the particles. It just tells us how hot or how cold an object is. This is measured in Celsius, Kelvin, Fahrenheit or Rankine. This is a measurable physical property of an object. Hence, we call this as a state variable. We measure temperature by a thermometer. Let's take a tub of water and a cup of water for our understanding. Let's say both of them are filled with water having the same temperature. But you see that the water in the tub has a higher heat energy or thermal energy. That is because it has more number of molecules, and hence it has the ability to give more heat to its surrounding than the cup of water existing at the same temperature. The second law of thermodynamics states that heat will always flow spontaneously from hotter substances to colder substance. So when I drop an ice cube into a bowl of warm water, heat flows from the water to the ice. Now this increases the thermal energy of the ice and therefore increases the kinetic energy of the ice molecule. So there is an increase in the temperature of the ice cube as well. As the thermal energy of the molecule in the ice increases, we see that the molecules will be able to move faster, break the intermolecular bonds and melts the ice. In fact, at this point, the molecules of ice and water will be at the exact same temperature as when they were ice. Here, the thermal energy, instead of increasing the kinetic energy, breaks the intermolecular bonds that makes the ice to water. After some time, we see that the molecules of the recently melted ice and the bowl of water reach equilibrium and maintain a consistent temperature throughout. So to conclude, we can say that there is a difference between heat and temperature. As a closing remark, we can remember the famous quote of Albert Einstein, which says, "I have come to know the mutability of all human relationships and have learned to insulate myself against both heat and cold so that a temperature balance is fairly well assured." Thank you for watching this. See you all very soon in the next video.